I'll start with this note that Leland gave me for volleyball's 10K day this Friday. They're playing Alabama at 7 p.m. I got a lot of respect for Coach Black and the volleyball team and the job they've done. They're trying to top last year's the state volleyball attendance record of 10,000 fans. So first 1,000 fans will get a black T-shirt, and the first 1,000 UGA students will also get a T-shirt and free food. So I know we'll be walking across that way, headed to the Georgia Center to stay. We want to see a big turnout and see them top 10K for our volleyball team and try to break that record that they set last year. With that, I would turn to looking forward, and I want to open by thanking our fans that were in Auburn. I thought they were incredible. There were times that, late in the game, I really thought that we had an impact in terms of that end zone, the turnout, the kind of the passion and energy they showed at the end of the game and after the game, and that leads into my comments about this week. We need the best atmosphere we've ever had in Sanford Stadium. I got a lot of respect for Lane. He does an incredible job. Probably one of the best things he does is in-game coaching, having coached with him and watched him for years. His impact on the quarterback and the offensive play and ability to communicate with the quarterback, whether it's by headset or by sideline, he does a great job of getting the quarterback's attention and getting them in the right plays based on looks, probably better than anybody else in the country. He and his staff do that. I won't give him all the credit, but he does an unbelievable job, and we need to make that extremely difficult. So the issue and the challenge has been issued for our fan base to be extremely difficult for them to communicate and do things offensively that they do, especially at home, and sometimes on the road when it's not the right environment. With that, I'll open it up.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned the quarterback's playing really, really well, obviously. What have you seen the impact that his legs have created on their running game in particular? He's an explosive nature.
Yeah, you said it. He's explosive, right? He's quick, he's fast, he's tough. He's got great lower body, great instincts. There's a difference in being a fast guy and being a runner. He patient behind blocks, quick when he needs to be. Some guys can only run perimeter runs well. Some can only run internal well. He runs both. He does a great job in the draw game. He sets up blocks, and he's a good passer. But They should get the greatest award there is for finding this guy and having the department within. I don't know who scouted it, who found him, but he is a really good football player that they went out and got and did a tremendous job.
Coach, if I'm not mistaken, Arnold was maybe the first true dual threat that you'd seen this season with such a young team. How valuable is it that now you've had that exposure to a dangerous runner going into a game like this? Is there some similarities there?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't figure out. I can't go back and think about the guys we've had. Some of those teams had a couple guys that could run the ball well. He certainly was a physical downhill runner, but it's a combination of things, right? Really good, excellent wide receivers on the perimeter. Really big physical offensive line, because sometimes you have a runner like him and maybe you're playing somebody that doesn't have the same offensive line. You have an extremely physical offensive line, a lot of sideways perimeter runs packaged together with the quarterback runs. And look, Ole Miss has all those same plays. I mean, you turn on the tape, they're tremendous offensively, and there's not a run that Auburn runs that they can't run, and they have a lot of the same weapons that Auburn does on the perimeter. So what Jackson did was really good. Really, they had a good plan, and we got to find ways to stop it.
What have been your impressions of Kewan Lacey and then really just the Ole Miss run game as a whole?
Extremely, he becomes more effective because of the quarterback. He becomes more effective because of the tempo. They use tempo. They're able to go really fast. They wear people down. You get lots of snaps against them, and we've had a lot of practice getting lots of snaps, that's for sure, defensively. But they get lots of snaps, and they wear you down, and he's a good back. He's vertical, sideways, catches the ball, explosive, really good player.
Kirby, how's Chauncey Bowens' health, his calf, lower leg, stuff like that? We didn't see him play a whole lot this past Saturday.
Yeah, he was. It was a deal going to the game. We felt like he was going to be able to go. It bothered him some, but it bothered him some last week. But it never got to the point that he wasn't going to be able to play. But he wasn't as effective probably early. We weren't as effective. I don't know if it was him, but we struggled to run the ball a little bit early, and then when those other guys got going, we went with those guys. But he should be fine. He should be ready to go this week.
Yeah, after going back and watching the film, what did you think of how Dalen and Ellis and DeMello played against those Auburn receivers, and what can they take from going against a group that's as talented as those guys heading into Ole Miss and down the line?
Yeah, there's some good and bad. I mean, Dalen had some good plays, and he had some tough plays where he ended up grabbing the receiver. He got out of position some, and same thing with Ellis, and same thing with DeMello. In this league, you're going to be challenged every week. These guys got great wideouts and a quarterback that can get them the ball, a quarterback that's very accurate. So the challenge will be every week to step up and play.
Kirby, halfway through the regular season, do you think Georgia is in the upper tier of SEC teams in a league that seems to have more parity?
Absolutely.
How do you evaluate that?
I don't evaluate because I only evaluate the teams we play. So I think we got a really good football team, and I think it shows every Saturday we go out and compete. I don't study the film of the ones we don't play, although most people you don't play, you get on crossover games. But I'm not in the process of evaluating. I'm evaluating us and Ole Miss right now.
Yeah, Coach, speaking of Ole Miss, two players that are very impactful on their offense, in my opinion, Caden Lee and Deuce Alexander, two state of Georgia players. I'm sure you evaluated them here. What have you seen in terms of growth from them individually in college?
Both really good players. They're both very experienced, talented guys. Came up in our state. They got a bunch of guys from our state. They recruit our state hard. They do a good job in our state. They have coaches that played here. They've got ties to the state. Our state supplies every team in the country with players. But Ole Miss does a great job of recruiting in our state, and both those players are really good players. They're getting a chance to come home in front of their families and have an opportunity to play.
Kirby, from the Auburn game, the timeout being waved off thing has become a thing. Have you talked to the SEC about that, and have you watched the film to kind of see that, like, it does appear that you are calling timeout? Did you even not realize you were, or what?
I talked to no one, the SEC office-wise, and I stand by what I talked about after the game. Worried about Ole Miss.
Yeah, 2 straight weeks where you guys have been able to punch out and force a fumble there, and obviously it's not a new technique, but how has an emphasis on that changed, and what does teaching that technique look like to see it be successful for you guys?
Has the emphasis changed? We've always emphasized it. I mean, we're just doing more of it. I mean, we're trying to practice it more, get more looks at it. We've taken time out of practice to get it. I mean, it's nothing that anybody in the country doesn't do. It's just how much time do you spend on it. We've tried to take cut-ups of every play in a game that we miss an opportunity to take a shot at the ball and show that. And then we also flip it around, or our defensive staff flips it around, and they show where we did take the opportunity to it's a compilation of clips. So you're getting all these small clips of shots on ball, hitting the ball, and just trying to do something different so maybe we get a different result.
Kirby, to your left, you opened things up by talking about Lane's in-game adjustments. What does he do, and specifically with his quarterback? How do they morph from maybe what's going on at the beginning and kind of evaluate and continue throughout and to improve throughout a game?
What are you exactly asking now? You're talking about his
Talk about his ability to make really great in-game adjustments, and how does that translate with his quarterback?
Yeah, mainly in game. I mean, like in play, within one play window, the 40-second play clock. They're able to. Everybody can do the same thing. Like we have the same. They're quick to the line, so they allow their quarterback. They can talk to their quarterback down to 15 seconds in terms of communication. Then 15 and below, he's on his own. But a lot of their snaps are above 15 seconds, so they're able to communicate to him, looks, talk to him, see what's going on. It's smart, right? It's what you do in order to execute at a higher level, especially for a guy that wasn't in their system last year and is in their system now. They do a good job of finding looks, of saying, okay, well, they're in this. Because defenses, if you're a good defense, you're predictable. You can't change what you do week in and week out. And they do a good job of IDing that, and they're in the right play a lot. right? They're in the right look against the look, which is critical.
That Ole Miss defensive front last year was one of the best in the SEC. Lost several of those guys. What have been your impressions of this group, that defensive front for Ole Miss?
Really impressive again. I got to watch 4 or 5 offensive games yesterday of Ole Miss and only got through 2 defensive games, and pretty impressive, to be honest with you. They're very disruptive, constantly moving, causing havoc and problems and movement, and disruptive, and they've got a couple of the best inside guys we've seen.
Hey, Kirby. Saw Juan came out in the second quarter, managed to come back into the game. What was kind of bothering him? Was it still his ankle? How is he doing?
Who?
Juan.
Oh, yes, one ankle kind of re-injured, bothered him, and then went back in, and then as I understand he came back out and just bothered him. But, he's trying to go today, see where he's at.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about the pass rush, but y'all got a couple sacks on Jackson Arnold, had some pressure. Do you feel like there was anything y'all did different schematically, or was it just better execution that allowed y'all to get some pressure Saturday night?
Well, I think it was situational. Right? So, you look and say, where did the pressure occur? Some of them were third downs. Some of them were 2-minute. Those opportunities present themselves more, and you get people in those situations, you're able to create pressure. But pressure's created by down and distance situations and how much you're willing to commit to the run versus a pass.
Coach, I think you've started 6 different offensive line combinations in 6 games. If somebody would have told you that in preseason, what would your reaction have been? And you still run the ball with efficiency even with these young players. What does that say about where they're at and the development you've had this year?
Well, we're blessed to have the 2 freshmen come along as fast as they did, because those 2 guys have helped us. Injuries happen. I don't know. I wasn't aware we had 6 different combinations, but it doesn't surprise me because it certainly feels that way. It feels even crazier in games because we're having to rotate guys in games, and it's not rotation based on stamina sometimes. It's just rotation based on an injury here, something there, and that makes it tough. But, look, I'm proud of their toughness and the way they play, and that drive they had to end the game shows something about their character and their ability to overcome and convert some third downs. But, look, we got to play better as a team, and that starts with what we do today, and that's really what we're worried about today.
Yeah, Penn State made the decision to move on from James Franklin yesterday, despite they were a drive away from potentially playing for the national championship in January. Does a move like that surprise you, or does that just sort of speak to the pressure that is on coaches in this day and age?
I don't really know. I don't think about it, to be honest with you. I'm probably not. I'm so engulfed in just what's going on here right now. Like, how do we prepare for this game that the outside stuff is like off-season stuff to me. I'm focused on Ole Miss.
You're talking about crediting, I guess, their scouting department or whatever for getting Trinidad's champions. How many hidden gems are there in the world of recruiting these days?
Don't know. There's 2 kinds of recruiting, though, right? I think you're talking about portal as opposed to recruiting. Maybe you're talking about both. I don't know. High school kids are hidden gems are harder because there's so much exposure these kids got, and you're seeing almost like a matriculation of guys to certain schools. As they're better, they get brought to certain places and they get put in the forefront. You don't find a guy that's a great player staying somewhere; they end up going somewhere else. But as far as finds in the portal, they're there. I know Lane and them do a great job of searching that out. They're a higher portal team than. I don't know, maybe they're middle of the pack SEC now, or maybe high end. In the past, they've been high end. I don't know where they are right now, but they do a great job because when you look at the list, there's guys on this sheet that are good players from other schools.
CJ had 10 tackles, was part of that forced fumble. Just what did you see from him against Auburn, and just what he means to this defense in general?
Yeah, I thought he really showed up, and I thought, it almost wasn't even like when you go back and watch the tape, it's one of the better games that I've seen him play. He was frustrated and disappointed after some of the earlier games, and we thought it was the first time that he looked as fast as he's been. He's been dealing with a hamstring, and he's played through it. But he's a leader, man. He's a special kid in terms of what he's willing to sacrifice and give up for the team, and how much he pushes our team. So I thought he had a good performance.
Kirby, you talked after the game about the offense being less an explosive kind of offense and kind of more of a 4, 5, 6 yards at a time, that kind of thing. How much of that is Gunner? How much of that is personnel around, and how much could that change as Gunner gets more experience?
Yeah, I don't know. Like a lot of it revolves around the run game, because our explosive plays, which we've been really good at 2 to 3 years, outside of last year, we were really good at explosive plays going back. But they came off of play actions. They came off of tempo plays. They even came off of runs prior to last year. So where do you get explosive plays from? You look and you do track them. You see other people and you say, okay, these players make explosives. They need to touch the ball. And that's what we try to look at, because explosives are the greatest indicator of who wins games, right there with turnovers and the middle eight. So, we want to be more explosive, obviously. And we played some teams early that played us in a very different way that made it hard to be explosive. We've actually been more explosive against some of the better teams that we've played, because they play you more aggressively, which exposes them to risk. But can't pinpoint or say exactly what's going to allow it. I'm comfortable with who we are, although I want to be more explosive. But being a team that can grind it out, be physical in a day and age when a lot of people don't want to be physical, it makes you different.
Yeah, Monroe was named SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week. Just what did you make of his performance, and what does it say about him that he's willing to gut it out and play that many snaps on an injury like he has?
Guts, toughness, grit. I mean, if you'd have told me after watching him Wednesday or whatever day it was, Thursday, when he just went out and tried to run and work out, I was questioning whether we should bring him on the trip. And he texted me and said, Coach, I'm going on this trip and I'm playing and I'm going to be ready. And just says a ton about his competitive character in a day and age that, some guys have to look out for themselves or whatever. He's all about the team, and he made it clear that he wanted to help this team win that game. And he played a huge role in the game, especially after the one ankle came. We had to start flip-flopping.
Coach, you had a moment there with Noah after the game. Obviously, he had a really big catch. He's a guy that's been working hard in your system. As the season progresses, this looks like another addition, another weapon. How important is it to add him to the arsenal, and how big of a hump do you think that was for him to get over to have that kind of a moment and that kind of game in your offense?
Well, he's played well in that stadium before, and he had a really big game when he played before, and we knew he had a lot of confidence against some of their guys, and he continues to show confidence. There's nobody on our team that pulls harder for our team, and he's in every huddle, and he's cheering on the defense. He's cheering on the kickoff team. He has been the embodiment of a team player and competing, and we got to continue to find opportunities to get him touches and make explosives. And we had several balls that went at him the other day, and got to continue to do that.
Time for one more question. Think back to last year and the scenes of their fans storming the field and your guys having to get off, and everybody from your team saying, I don't want to feel that again. Do you use that as motivation this week? How do you go about reminding the guys about that?
Yeah, not big revenge guy. I mean, they could have said that last year about us because they came here and played the year before. I'm big into what gets us to play our best, and that usually comes from intrinsic stuff for me, not from looking at the past. Those teams were different teams, and this team's a different team. Thank you.